E-bikes. Oh boy, this is an emotionally charged topic with much debate across the internet. It reminds me of when snowboarding first hit the scene. All those rowdy, unruly, helmetless snowboarders, smoking cigarettes, going way too fast, and ruining the experience for the skiers who had existed on the mountain since the dawn of time. Now I go hit the slopes decades later, and everybody is wearing helmets and in symbiosis. Well, today I'm going to do my best to objectively look at both sides of the e-bike debate. I'm going to look at the upsides and the downsides of e-bikes and try and render my verdict. So let's get rolling. I've been sitting on this video for more than a year now, and I didn't really know how to approach this one, and I needed to let the dust settle a bit on the great COVID bike bubble. COVID blew the door open on e-bike sales when everybody was stuck inside and had disposable income from that canceled vacation or shopping or eating out or whatever. The trails filled up with people who normally would be going on a cruise or hitting the movie theater, and many of them were on e-bikes. It was overwhelming. Parking lots were packed to the brim, and general trail etiquette went right out the window. At least this is what I saw in Flagstaff, Phoenix, and Sedona. Mostly Phoenix and Sedona. Now, a couple years later, it seems to have slowed a bit. Most of the COVID recreationalists returned back to their normal daily routines, and the bike industry is saturated with used bikes and a surplus of inventory. So now that the world has returned back into balance, and my approach to controversy has evolved a bit, I've realized that not everything has to be polarizing. In a world full of extreme opinions propped up by sensational news media and the internet Wild West, the answer is usually somewhere in the middle. And I think we can all do a better job trying to embrace this approach while truly trying to understand both sides of an argument, which is what I've tried to do here with this topic. So if you're looking for an echo chamber which will make you feel good because you found something that agrees with your opinion, you might as well click away because you're not going to find that here. In this video, I'm going to objectively explore both sides of the e-bike argument, render my verdict, and try to answer the question we may all be wondering. What is the future of e-bikes? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. And I'm sure the comments on this one will be fun, so keep it civil, and before you submit that comment, think, if I was physically standing in front of this person, would I say the same thing to them? Oh, one other note worth mentioning. E-bikes are a gigantic new revenue opportunity for the big bike brands. They can charge more for them, make a bigger profit margin, and they open up the sales channels to new people who may have otherwise not purchased a bicycle. So in my opinion, since groups like Bikepacking.com are supported by Big Bike, they are unable to have any unbiased opinion due to their partnership with the brand. I have no sponsorship by any big bike brands. The stuff I promote is the stuff I use on a daily basis, and I'm gonna tell you if it's crap. Okay, first things first, let's look at the difference between the four classifications of e-bikes. Class 1 e-bikes do not have throttles and are considered pedal assist. They have a battery and a motor that assists you with your own pedaling effort and only assists when you are pedaling. The system stops assisting when the bike reaches 20 miles per hour or 25 kilometers per hour. Class 2 e-bikes have a pedal assist, a battery, and a motor, and the addition of a throttle. So everything a Class 1 e-bike has, but you have the ability to accelerate without pedaling. These are also limited or governed to 20 miles per hour and 25 kilometers per hour. Class 3 e-bikes look and function the same as Class 1. However, they top out at 28 miles per hour and have an optional throttle. And finally, Class 4 e-bikes have a larger motor, over 750 watts, and the system can go over 28 miles per hour. Even though Class 1 e-mountain bikes have gained popularity on the trail and are subject to the most controversy, Class 2 through Class 4 have really found their sweet spot with people commuting to and from work and around towns in places where walking or scooters may not make sense. I've always admired the Dutch culture for their widespread use of bicycles, and I think e-bikes move the United States one step closer to a bike-centric culture. More widespread adoption of e-bikes for commuting could have a net gain for environmental sustainability. Some recent research suggests that there is a measurable decrease in emissions when you consider the manufacturing and overall life of a vehicle compared to an e-bike. Trek says the production of basic entry-level mountain bike emits about 100 kilograms of CO2e and about 165 kilograms of CO2e for an e-bike, where 5.5 tons is needed to make a small hatchback and 13 tons to make an SUV. CO2e is a measurement of the total greenhouse gases emitted expressed in terms of the equivalent measurement of carbon dioxide. Then there's the lifetime numbers. A typical gas car generates 220 grams of CO2e per kilometer, where an e-bike generates only 21 to 25 per kilometer. So the consensus is pretty clear on carbon. If more people switched from a car to an e-bike for their consistent daily commuting, there would be a positive impact on the planet. Segueing from the planet's health to personal health, the US is experiencing an obesity epidemic coupled with a mental health epidemic. Therapy and pills could help some, but most could likely start to feel better if they simply eat better and get a bit of exercise every day. Just move their bodies. Run, walk, ride, tai chi, yoga, CrossFit, and yes, e-bike riding. During my research for this video, I came across a very interesting study done by BYU in 2019, comparing the exercise response of pedal assist mountain bikes and the perception and beliefs of experienced mountain bikers. It's fairly comprehensive. So here for the study, we're moving back to Class 1 e-mountain bikes specifically, but I think the general conclusion can be broadly applied to all classes. The study brought 33 people of varying experience levels onto a 6-mile soft surface loop with 700 feet of elevation gain and the most intense climbing section, averaging a 5% incline. They were given the option to ride their own conventional mountain bike or use a provided conventional mountain bike for the non-electrified lap, then provided a Class 1 e-mountain bike for the electrified lap. They were fitted with heart rate monitors and an Apple Watch to track their physical metrics. Then a comprehensive questionnaire survey was given before and after the loop. The results say, quote, the average heart rate during e-mountain bike use was 94% of the average heart rate during conventional mountain bike use. Therefore, e-mountain bike use in this study achieved a majority of the exercise response and exceeded established biometric thresholds for cardiovascular fitness, end quote. The study went on to conclude, quote, this is the first study to compare the exercise response of conventional mountain bike and e-mountain bike use on soft surface trails, and the first to associate pedal assist bikes with vigorous intensity aerobic or cardiovascular fitness. Findings indicate that riding an e-mountain bike is moderate to vigorous physical activity, providing individuals with the opportunity to meet physical activity guidelines. Findings related to perceptions and beliefs before and after riding e-mountain bikes were mixed, yet support the use of pedal assist technology in promoting physical activity. Okay, so yes, the study was done in 2019, and yes, it only had 33 participants, and I'm sure there are other flaws that can be uncovered in the study if you really dig in. But I think the underlying takeaway is most people aren't elite athletes and live a fairly sedentary lifestyle. And if an e-mountain bike gets them out the door in nature and moving their body, there's going to be an overall net gain for physical and mental health as a society. The last big upside I've considered with e-bikes is this technology allows better access for people with physical disabilities and older riders who are maybe aging out of the ability to ride a conventional mountain bike. I think that with e-mountain bikes and the use of these in remote areas, people need to be very careful. These technologies allow you to ride further and faster, which can get you into some very remote places very quickly, and could be potentially dangerous if you run out of battery or there is a malfunction with the electrical system. Even though there is a measurable positive health and environmental impact, when looking into the other side of this debate, I found some potential downsides, specifically with the use of Class 1 e-mountain bikes on single track and their use on public land. The main question is, do electrified mountain bikes that can go faster and further have a measurable negative impact on soil displacement and erosion? Are they more like a human-powered mountain bike where they can only generate so much torque? Or are they more like motorcycles, which do extensive damage to trail systems? A 2015 IMBA study, full study link in the description below, conducted a controlled field study to measure this very thing. I won't go super deep into the study, but the conclusion stated, this study found that the impacts from Class 1 e-mountain bikes and traditional mountain bicycles were not significantly different, while motorcycles led to much greater soil displacement and erosion. Observations suggest that Class 1 e-mountain bikes may lead to more displacement under certain trail conditions. Additional research is needed to further assess the range of environmental and social impacts for successful Class 1 e-mountain bikes' use on public lands. IMBA's initial study suggests that with conscientious management and attention to trail design, Class 1 e-mountain bikes may have the potential to offer a beneficial use of public lands with acceptable impacts. Now, this sounds pretty inconclusive and more research needs to be done. There are other trail impacts I've noticed from personal experience regarding safety and trail etiquette. When you ride a conventional mountain bike, you have to work over time to gain the ability to go fast. During this process, which could be months or years, you develop the muscle memory and skill set to be able to ride in a controlled manner, and specifically control the bike when you approach other riders, runners, hikers, or horses on trail and in blind corners. On an e-mountain bike, you instantly have the ability to go very fast and haven't had the time to develop the other skills like controlled braking. I've had multiple situations where I come around a corner and an e-biker is panic braking and skidding out of control, resulting in near collisions between the two of us. Also on this note, most trail design prevents blind spots where one bike going downhill could collide with a bike going uphill at a slower pace. This very fundamental dynamic of trails has changed with e-mountain bikes. They can go significantly faster up hills, which means more possibilities of higher speed meetings on popular trails. It is just a simple fact that the increased speed of an e-mountain bike could lead to more collisions in mixed-use areas. I spend a significant amount of time biking and running on my local trails, and over the last 5 years or so, I've seen a general decline in trail etiquette and proper yielding. This problem is more widespread than just e-bike users, but the connection I see here is that an e-bike opens the market up to a broader group of consumers, and there are more possibilities that they have not yet been exposed to proper trail etiquette and things like leave no trace fundamentals. I may sound like a gatekeeper here, but I believe that conventional mountain bikers and e-mountain bikers can benefit from increased awareness around these guidelines. Another downside worth exploring is the controversy around the lithium batteries. This is a problem not only with e-bikes, but with electric vehicles, phone batteries, laptop batteries, the list goes on and on. Cobalt is one of the key ingredients used in almost all the manufacture of lithium-ion rechargeable batteries, and the current mining situation involves slave-like mining conditions in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is pretty dark stuff, so if you want to learn more, buckle up and Google a guy named Siddharth Kara, whose recent book, Cobalt Red: How the Blood of the Congo Powers Our Lives, covers these topics. Kara says the mining industry has ravaged the landscape of the DRC. Millions of trees have been cut down, the air around mines is hazy with dust and grit, and the water has been contaminated with toxic effluents from the mining processing. What's more, he says, quote, cobalt is toxic to touch and breathe, and there are hundreds of thousands of poor Congolese people touching and breathing it day in and day out. Young mothers with their babies strapped to their backs, all breathing in this toxic cobalt dust. Another understated issue with lithium processing is the fact that China basically owns the vast majority of the refining and manufacturing process. China is home to 6 of the world's 10 biggest battery makers. They account for 77% of the manufacturing capacity. This is definitely more of a geopolitical issue, but as consumers, I think it's important to look at the chain of custody on the products that we purchase. Hopefully there is a better path forward as lithium-ion recyclability improves and new battery technologies emerge, eliminating the need for these conflict minerals. These are the blood diamonds of our lifetime. The last downside of e-bikes is the cost when compared to a conventional bike. They cost more to purchase, have all the same ongoing maintenance costs as a regular bike, and cost money to constantly charge. They're going to be way less than owning a car, but more than just riding a regular bike. I have to admit, as a hardcore, meat-powered endurance cyclist, researching and writing this video objectively has changed the way I look at this topic. So what is my verdict? E-bikes are excellent for commuting and using as a tool to get off the couch and get the blood pumping. Have at it. Use e-bikes to make yourself and your community healthier. The attention needs to be paid to the use of e-bikes on public lands and single track. More research needs to be done on trail impact and trail safety. And until then, e-mountain bikes should only be allowed where other motorized vehicles are allowed. Public land managers should consider increased trail etiquette awareness signage and incorporate e-bike information into the signage. I think bike shops have a huge responsibility when they are renting out mountain bikes and e-mountain bikes to educate their patrons on the proper trail guidelines in their particular areas. Taking agency for ourselves is one step in the right direction until clear studies and guidelines are provided to the different land management groups. A report by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration wraps this up pretty well. New technology, features, formats, and marketing have contributed to an explosion in the popularity of e-bikes over the last several years. E-bikes are here to stay, and their use will likely continue to be a growing part of the transportation landscape in public lands. Understanding the benefits and challenges they pose for public lands requires additional research, as noted throughout this report. The study team hopes to study methodology and research questions to help guide future primary research to address the many gaps in empirical knowledge about e-bikes' use in public lands, to inform science-based, data-driven decision-making. Well, there you go. It might not be as satisfying as you thought, but we need more information. Keep your comments thoughtful and civil, and remember, what makes this country great is we are allowed to debate things like this freely. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching, and remember to plan, pack, and pedal. Despite all my rage, I am still just Nicolas Cage.